Every individual is equal before and under the law and has the right to the equal protection and equal benefit of the law without discrimination.
Hi, my name's Abdullah.
My name's Rohan.
Hi, my name's Vinny.
And we'll be talking about Section 15 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
And that is equality rights. Alright, come in.
Hi, my name is Sarah Wilson and I want to apply for the Charter of Rights.
Is that your portfolio?
Yeah.
You have a lot of qualifications. We'll call you back if there's an opening.
Okay, thank you.
Alright, sir, come in.
Hi,
Alright,
sir. Hi, sir. My name is Andrew John Smith.
Andrew John Smith?
Yes, yes.
Applying for the truck driver position?
Yes, yes.
Alright, sir. This is your portfolio resume right here?
Yes, this is my resume.
Alright, so. Whoa. You don't have a lot of qualifications, but you have experience, right?
Yes.
Yes, of course you do. You know what? I'll call you tomorrow and let you know about the job. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you so much.
So, who do you think deserves the job?
Well, I think Sarah Wilson deserves a job. She has much more qualifications, clearly more qualified than Andrew Johnson.
But she's a girl. Girls can't drive. I can't risk her driving my truck. Even girls can't drive. You know what? Andrew John Smith's gonna get the job. He's a guy. Guys know how to drive.
Just saw it was clearly a violation of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, precisely Section 15.
And what's Section 15?
15 states that every individual is equal before and under the law and has the right to the equal protection and equal benefit of the law without discrimination. And in particular, without discrimination based on their religion, sex, national ethnicity, place of origin, or mental or physical disabilities.
Oh. So what happened before was totally wrong. It was discrimination because of their sex, right?
Now, what really should have happened?
So, do you think Andrew John Smith deserves the job or Sarah Wilson?
Sir, obviously Sarah Wilson.
What makes you say that?
Sir, Sarah Wilson is clearly more qualified.
Oh, hold on. Sarah Wilson's a female. Females can't drive cars and you expect them to drive my truck? Look, not in my book, so I'm not gonna let that happen. Guys, they could drive. I've seen guys drive.
Sir, what you're talking about is clearly a violation of this Charter of Rights and Freedoms, precisely Section 15. You can't discriminate against someone just because of their gender, sir. I believe that Sarah Wilson deserves that job.
I don't know, man.
Right now was discrimination. Discrimination is always happening. It might not be happening to you right now, but it might in the future.
An example of this is Vrend versus Alberta. It's a case that happened over sexual orientation that went on from 1991 to 1998.
Delwind Vrind was a laboratory coordinator at a Christian college in Edmonton, Alberta.
He received numerous promotions, positive evaluations, and an increase in salary for his work performance.
In January 1991, he was fired from the college as the reason being that he did not comply with their policy on homosexual practice.
Mr. Vrind was fired because the college had figured out he was a gay man.
In June 1991, Mr. Brent filed a complaint with the Alberta Human Rights Commission on the basis that his employer had discriminated against him because of his sexual orientation.
In July 1991, the Commission told Mr. Bing that he could not make a complaint under the Individual Rights Protection Act, IRPA, of Alberta because sexual orientation was not included in the list of protected grounds in Section 7.1 of the IRPA.
Section 7.1b of the Individual Rights Protection Act states that no employer or person acting on behalf of an employer shall discriminate against any person with regard to employment or any term or condition of employment because of race, religious beliefs, color, gender, physical disability, mental disabilities, ancestry, marital status, age, or place of origin that the person or of any other person. But it did not include protection from discrimination regarding sexual orientation.
Mr. Vrend and several other groups that supported gay and lesbians' rights applied to the Court of Queen's Bench of Alberta for a declaration that the Individuals' Rights Protection Act violated the Charter of Rights and Freedom, Section 15, subsection 1.
After hearing the arguments of the applicants and the respondent, Judge Russell stated that Section 7.1 and several other sections of the IRPA were unconstitutional. Because they violated the Charter, but not for this case, it was specifically Section 15.1 of the Charter, and these violations were not justified by Section 1 of the Charter as reasonable limits.
On April 12, 1994, Judge Russell ordered that Section 7, Subsection 1, and other sections of the IRPA to be interpreted, applied, and administered to contain the word sexual orientation. This remedy is known as reading in. The words sexual orientation were effectively added into the IRPA, and the Alberta Human Rights Commission would be required to offer protection to those who suffered from discrimination regarding their sexual orientation, such as Mr. Brand.
The government was not satisfied with the decision of the lower court, so the government appealed to the Alberta Court of Appeal because they disagreed with the judgment.
The panel of the 3 judges who heard the appeal were divided as the outcome.
Justice Hunt of the Court of Appeal agreed with the lower court's decision, however the other 2 judges did not.
The Court of Appeal reversed the lower court's decision and ruled in favor of the government.
Mr. Vrain clearly didn't agree with the Court of Appeal's decision and further permission for his case to be heard by the Supreme Court of Canada.
Mr. Vrain's case was heard by the Supreme Court of Canada on November 4th, 1997, and the written decision was released on April 2nd, 1998, a year later.
The majority of the Supreme Court held that the provision of the Individuals' Rights Protection Act were unconstitutional, reversing the decision of the Court of Appeal.
Justice Corey and Labucci described the equality right as fundamental to Canada.
The Supreme Court decided that the provisions of the IRPA breached the equality provisions of the Charter because the omission of sexual orientation from the list of protected grounds created a distinction that had the effect of discrimination, which is prohibited by Section 15, subsection 1.
The Attorney General of Alberta argued that the Individuals' Rights Protection Act treated homosexuals and heterosexuals equally.
The Supreme Court rejected this argument because it only addressed the issue of formal equality.
It's important to realize that discrimination against gays and lesbians is real.
Most of the time when someone is discriminated against on the basis of sexual orientation, it will most likely be the homosexual person and not the heterosexual person.
The omission of sexual orientation from the IRPA was far more likely to have a negative impact on homosexual persons compared to heterosexual persons.
Therefore, gays and lesbians were denied the right to the equal protection and equal benefit of the law. Section 15, subsection 1.
The Supreme Court ruled that this breach of Section 15.1 was not justified as a reasonable limit to guaranteed rights as permitted by Section 1 of the Charter.
In conclusion, the Supreme Court held that the section of the Individuals' Rights Protection Act was unconstitutional and that sexual orientation should be read into the Individuals' Rights Protection Act as a protected ground.
You know Section 15 of the Charters of Rights and Freedom?
No.
No?
Are you going to tell me?
Yeah, so Section 15 of the Charter of Rights and Freedom is the freedom of equality. So that means you have the equal rights as everyone else, and no one shall be discriminated upon their race, gender, or color, or anything like that, or ethnicity. So everyone gets the same rights, so there's no discrimination whatsoever. Section 15 of Charter and Rights and Freedom comes equality rights. So has there ever been a scenario where your equality rights have been violated?
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you explain the scenario to us, sir?
One time my mom went to the store, bought my sister chocolate, and never got me anything.
Okay, so yeah, that makes sense. Alright, thanks for sharing with us. Do you know what equality rights are?
I think quality rates are like equal rights.
You know what the Charter of Rights and Freedoms?
A little bit.
Do you know about Section 15?
Section 15, no, I wouldn't be able to.
Well, Section 15 is equality rights. Do you know anything about equality rights?
A little bit.
Can you explain what you know?
Equality is everybody has the right to be treated equally, be it having to do with race or creed or age or sex, etc. Am I right?
Yeah.
Know your rights!
you know what equality rates are?
Oui!
Alright, so could you explain what equality rates are?
En français ou en anglais?
Français.
Could you elaborate on that?
Ok, oui. À mon avis, les droits de l'égalité sont contre le monde égal.
Very good.
Point of Alberta for a Declaration of Individual Rights Protection Act violation, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. This doesn't make sense.
With regard to their term or condition of employment because of their race, religious, sexual Yo, what's IRPA stand for?
I think Andrew John Smith deserves the job or Sarah Wilson.
Obviously Sarah Wilson, sir.
What makes you say that?
What makes you say that?
So,
my man!
So, who do you think's more qualified, John Smith or what was your name? So, who do you think's more qualified, Andrew John Smith or Sarah Wilson?
Well, as you can see, Andrew John Smith's much more qualified.
No, you don't.
Sarah Wilson's much more qualified.